Have you ever wondered why rent feels unfair even when the economy looks better on paper? You hear positive headlines, you hear that inflation is cooling, and yet your rent keeps climbing or refuses to come down. This is one of the most frustrating parts of modern life, and it happens for reasons that are structural, not personal. Rent is not priced like a normal product. A normal product has many sellers, fast competition, and the ability to increase supply quickly. Housing does not work that way. In many places, supply is limited, building takes time, and demand keeps coming. When supply cannot respond quickly, prices stay high even if the wider economy improves. Rent is also sticky. That means it moves up faster than it moves down. When landlords raise rent, it becomes the new baseline. They do not want to reduce it later because lowering rent resets expectations, reduces income, and can be hard to reverse. So even if conditions improve, rent often stays high. The market may slow, but the price level holds. Another reason rent feels unfair is that rent is a fixed cost. Fixed costs hit harder than flexible spending. When your rent rises, you cannot easily cut it the way you can cut eating out or subscriptions. Rent takes the first share of your paycheck, and everything else must fit into what remains. That is why rent increases create stress faster than many other price increases. In many cities, rent is also driven by higher-level forces. Interest rates change investor behavior. When rates rise, buying a home becomes harder for normal households, and more people stay in the rental market. That keeps demand strong. At the same time, higher rates can make building new housing more expensive, which slows supply growth. So the rental market stays tight. There is also the issue of wage timing. Wages often rise slowly and unevenly. Rent can rise quickly in hot markets. When rent rises faster than income, people feel punished for simply existing. This is why rent feels unfair. It is not only the price, it is the relationship between rent and income. Another factor is that landlords and property owners often face their own rising costs. Taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance can rise over time. Even if inflation cools, those costs do not always fall. So rent is supported by a cost structure that stays elevated. Some owners also carry mortgages with rates that reset, which can increase their monthly costs. The final rent price ends up reflecting those pressures. Now, even if rent does not fall, there are ways to reduce the feeling of constant stress. The first is clarity. You need to know your true baseline. How much of your income goes to housing, utilities, and transport? When housing takes a very high share, stress becomes constant. That is not a mindset issue. That is math. Clarity removes self-blame. The second is building margin wherever possible. Margin means breathing room in the budget. Even a small margin changes how life feels. Margin reduces panic decisions. Margin reduces the need to borrow. Margin reduces emotional spending. Many people do not need a perfect budget. They need a system that creates margin. One practical approach is to separate your money into jobs. Bills first, daily spending second, and buffer third. When rent is the biggest fixed cost, you protect it first so it does not steal from everything else. Then you set a realistic spending amount so you do not negotiate with yourself daily. Then you build a small buffer so surprises do not break the month. This is not about getting rich. It is about stability. You can also look for areas where rent pressure can be reduced over time. That might mean negotiating at renewal, especially if the market is softer. It might mean searching for a better value neighborhood. It might mean taking roommates temporarily. It might mean reducing space for a period to rebuild stability. These are not easy choices, but they are structural moves, not emotional ones. Another important point is to avoid lifestyle traps that follow rent increases. When rent rises, many people try to maintain the same lifestyle by using credit. That creates a second problem. The rent remains high, and the debt rises. If rent pressure is real, the best response is a realistic system, not a pretend system. Rent feels unfair because it is tied to limited supply. sticky pricing, and slow income adjustment. That unfair feeling is understandable. But your household stability is still possible if you focus on what you can control. Baseline clarity, margin, buffers, and consistent rules. Education only, not financial advice. The goal of this video is to explain why rent can stay high even when the economy improves, and to help you respond with calm structure instead of frustration. When you understand the system, you stop blaming yourself and you start building stability inside your own plan.